hurry!
Welcome to MomCave Live, where we may have lost our minds, but we haven't lost our sense of humor. I'm Jen. It's a Friday morning, and I'm live here with the author of I'm Just Saying, Gabriella Riberio. Hi, Gabby.
How are you?
Can I call you Gabby? Do you go by Gabby?
I have like 17 nicknames, so whatever suits you, whatever rolls out the mouth, that's fine.
Yeah, I say I'm Jen, but never Jenny. I hate Jenny, but whatever.
Own it.
It makes me think of a horse. Okay, great to see you. So everybody, feel free to jump in and comment and ask questions about her book. You can get it in all the places, of course, on Amazon. But tell us, what was the inspiration for this book?
Well, I write a lot just for fun and, with what I do for a living. But I've always I listen to everything. My mom always has a lot of advice, and I have a lot of advice for my daughter and all sorts of things. But, you think you're doing this great job, and then something like a pandemic hits, and then everybody's stressed, and you're dealing with things that you never thought that you'd have again. And that you see your daughter go through, or, your son or whomever. So we had, it was interesting. We had just a little bit of a challenge, and I saw my daughter starting to struggle with self-confidence and isolation and things like that. So I just felt like I'd been sort of tweaking, the idea for a while, but I said, something like I have to put this all down on paper. Yeah. Just in case of anything. But really just at a time where I felt like, more than ever, maybe other people needed to hear some stuff that's, a little bit hybrid, tough love, but, a lot of honesty and just kind of, giving yourself a break, more importantly, and figuring out what is important and what's not. So that was really the inspiration was her. But, moving forward, I felt like a lot of people could benefit from it because it's just been a crazy time.
Yeah, totally. Well, we're all about giving yourself a break. Maybe I might give myself too many breaks, but that's how I survived this thing. What I thought was cool as I was reading about your book was the concept that as parents, we always have advice for our kids, and our parents had advice for us. But it's really hard to hear advice from your own mom.
Yes, it is. Or anybody close to you. I mean, because they're the most truthful, window, and they're sometimes the mirror, that we don't want to see. And as much as we can't stand it, they actually do know more than you in a lot of ways. Right? That's things. Nobody likes that. And also it's like, any kid will perform better in school and push in their chair and do all of that stuff, but they won't do it at the kitchen table at home. It's that, that kind of disassociation. So it's exactly what I thought. I'm like, well, if people hear this from another source, like she tends to listen to her godmother and her aunt, a little bit more than times, when with little things. So I think, when you hear it from a second party, a third party, sometimes it sinks in a little more.
I like this concept of you can give advice to other people's kids and I can give advice to your kid, and we can just all do that for each other. And that way they'll listen to somebody. And
I think it was also I think that also we waste a lot of time in our youth and also in our 20s and even in our 30s worrying about stuff that all of a sudden we realize really doesn't matter.
Right. Totally.
Okay. Is anybody looking at me? Does my outfit look okay? Who cares? Do you like it? Are you okay?
Right.
We spend an enormous amount of time stressing about those kind of things. So, another purpose of that was just, not to be cliche and say, let it go, but to understand that a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter today, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I found myself having this deep conversation. I thought it was deep with my son the other day in the car, where I was trying to explain something to him. And I was like, I totally get how you feel and what you're doing, because when I was your age, that's how I felt and thought too. But I went through a lot of bad stuff in order to figure out that was totally wrong. And as a mom, you want to save, I want to save you from not having to go through learning the lesson, but I can't, because that's part of growing up. So no matter how much I tell you, you got to learn it yourself.
I love that conversation because I had that just with my friend the other day too. Her daughter was going through something, and I said, as much as you wish you could stop it, she has to feel that, and so does my daughter. And you have to feel a heartbreak, and you have to feel all of these things to either, learn how to survive them or to understand what is better than that.
Yeah.
You have a really bad heartbreak, and then all of a sudden you appreciate other things more, or you look for other things in a partner, that kind of stuff. So I think, that kind of stuff teaches you. So the book isn't meant to be I know it all. It's just here's what I got. Here's what I learned, I feel better, knowing these things. And maybe you will too.
Yeah, and it's, like, all down on paper,
Yeah.
so people can peruse it at their own leisure and not have to, like, hear it in the moment when it's hard to hear, right? Um, what would you say is the single most, life-changing piece of advice you have there?
Changing. I think it's acceptance. And for a lot of reasons, like I grew up a very heavy kid. And okay, you can change a lot of that stuff, but like just an example, my shoulders are this broad, my hips are this broad. Like I'm not gonna look like
Right.
a stick figure ever. It doesn't really matter what I do. I could exercise for 15 out of 24 hours a day. I could,
Mhm.
eat just water and grapes and that's it. And like it will never happen. Some people want blue eyes when they have brown. Some people want, X when they have Y. And I think you have to just realize, okay, what you have is really awesome. Think about how many
Yeah.
people don't have that.
Mhm.
And take what you have and figure out how to make the most of it because we are all different. But I think it is very difficult to accept that also happens a lot when we're teenagers and a lot when we're growing up. And it is heartbreaking to watch that from the outside. And I also spent a lot of time. And then I said, okay, you know what? I started running in my 40s. I'm a terrible runner. I'm slow. I've been doing it for years now, and I still am not any faster or any better than I
Right.
did in the beginning. And I get frustrated, but I'm like, this is just my pace. Okay. Like at
Mhm.
least I'm doing it and that's it. And it helps and makes me feel better. But no, I'm not going to get any faster. And that's okay.
Running in your 40s is a win, first of all, at all, okay?
That's the mindset. You have to
That's
train
the
yourself.
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's still this way for girls, but when I was growing up, I felt like everybody was so encouraging of like, you can do anything you dream of if you try hard enough. You can be all you can be, which is a lovely sentiment, but in a way, it sets you up for a lifetime of anxiety and depression. I sometimes,
Because when you
because
can't
you're
achieve
not
it, you're like, what's wrong with me? I was told
right.
that it's all going to be okay,
I was told anything is possible, but like, no, not anything. um,
Lots, but not all.
That's right. And I don't know, everything's relative, but to have that acceptance, as you're saying, to finally accept, like, yeah, I'm not going to be the fastest runner. I love to sing. I've always loved to sing. And growing up, I thought I was going to be like a Broadway star. I am a horrible singer. I'm almost tone deaf. I've had lessons in many places, and I'm married to a musician with perfect pitch. He's tried, but then I got to be a certain age, and I'm like, it's not going to happen. I can sing as loud as I want in the car and the kids can laugh and I can have fun, but like that's who I am. I am the girl who is a little tone deaf but loves to sing anyway and doesn't have to be my career, right?
And that's awesome because that's joy. That's actually the
Right.
definition of joy is you found something you really like. You don't have to be perfect at it. Or even like
Totally.
speaking another language. So many people are embarrassed to try.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's awesome. And even if you just speak a few words, somebody else will be appreciative of it. I stopped myself
Right.
always when I was younger. I don't want to, in case if I can't do this right, then I'm not
Yeah,
going
my
to.
accent isn't good. That was
Yes,
always a thing for
and
me.
the point is like just try.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we get hung up on is this perfection, like you said, and that everything has to happen the way I dreamed it's never going to be like that.
No. Life is never that way.
Not at all.
Um and you have one child?
I do. Just a daughter, and she's 13, going to be 14 soon, and 13 some days, 21 some days,
That
8
is
other
yeah.
days. Sorry. It's a roller coaster. Everyone told me, and she's amazing, but it's you see all of these things that you went through too, and it's all happening. Like it's all still happening.
Mhm.
Like the clique
Mhm.
at school and the this and the that.
Totally.
And you really wish that you could just erase it all. But like we said, you have to do it. But she's happy and much better since the pandemic, which is really nice. And I
Love
think
it.
it's interesting because same thing, like I'll say something and she'll be like, I know, mom, okay, and then she'll cover her ears and all of that. But then I know it has sunk in because I see her doing the thing that I subtly, and maybe not so subtly talked about. Little by
That's
little.
amazing. Yeah. When they do it and you just notice quietly and you don't say anything, that's like it's hard not to say anything, but
Yeah, you just have to, it's the casual
that's
business.
that's the win. Yeah. Um, have you noticed you mentioned clicks and that and in that age? So I also have a kid. I have a boy who's a little bit younger than that, but in that same sort of age and stage.
Yeah.
And do you notice? So do you think that it's the same that it was when we were growing up with the clicks?
It's different. I find they move freely back and forth. I find they're a lot more social than I ever was.
Oh, I like that.
There's frequent hangouts. There's this so and so will wind up, at a place, and 40 of them will be there, or they'll all go to Starbucks and everybody's there. So I think it's interesting because it was more isolated. I think when
Mhm.
I was younger, at least for me, it was you're in one group and that's it. And there's
Yeah.
no getting out of it, but if you're
Yeah.
free with that, that's fine. I feel like they blend together. I was always worried about bullying. Because I
Mhm.
think that, it was like okay when we were younger, and then all of a sudden a very, very
Yeah.
huge arc, in social media and all of that. But I find for some reason, my daughter said it the other day. She's like, "Well, things are just different now. If you're mad at somebody, you just don't bother with them. You don't
Hmm.
spend your life making, look, that's just here at this
That's very
moment.
mature.
Next week
Good.
will be different." But I was interested to hear that perspective. Is that maybe that kids are finding it easier to move on with nonsense
Oh,
than they
wow.
were before, or that they're just more, focused on other things that they don't want to let this kind of stuff, drag. I don't know. I'm sure it does happen. It
Wow.
has happened. There have been, mean girl things, and of course that still exists. But I don't know. I think it's more inclusive today because kids are different, and I think they're a little bit more used to being social in other ways. I think the phone, good or bad, has this way of connecting people now, connecting kids in a different way. 'Cause frequently she'll say, "Oh yeah, so and so lives in another. Yeah, I met this person. She's friends with so and so. She lives in the next town over." That never happened
Right,
when I
right.
was little. I knew kids at my school, and that was it.
Yeah, your world was much smaller,
Yes.
and now it's bigger. Okay, and so speaking of things like phones and all, do you have any advice for, young kids about the phones, the social media, and all that stuff?
It's, I mean, I could speak till I'm blue in the face. I could dish advice, right?
Yeah.
I try to just make sure that no matter what, I can only say what I do for my own kid. Just try to insist that she's present with special things. And we do a lot of, even things that are not quote unquote special. They're meaningful. We're in the car, we're having a conversation. That's kind of
Right.
special too these days. So trying to just understand the difference of putting it in your hand when you're bored versus when you really need to engage with someone.
Mhm.
I don't want her to miss out on things or not answer a
Totally.
message, but there's no reason to sit for hours and scroll and scroll and scroll and watch mindless videos.
Yeah.
I don't know what that does for you.
I
um,
can tell you, it,
you know,
wastes a lot of time, and in the moment, you're having a great time, and then it's 3 hours later. So, yeah, if adults like us have trouble with these things, I know it's gotta be really hard for the younger.
it's hard. I've
I
had
hear that.
this thought all the time. I sit down and watch a TV program, and I can't do it without a device in my hand just to play a game, and that's bad too. So I try to work on that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's just become a thing. I guess I've always been like that. I used to like paint when I was little. Always something while I was doing something else. So I don't
Me
know.
too.
But I think just
Yeah, I
being
cannot do
present.
one thing at a time.
No, you have to do multiple. But I am actually listening to you. I'm not playing a phone. Just so you know, like it's.
Oh, good, yeah, well, see, since I'm using my phone for part of this, I can't
You
do anything.
can't, right?
That's an I wanna show everybody, I'm gonna push to the, comments, your book. This is it. This is I'm Just Saying, and it should show up in the comments with a link where you can find it on Amazon. Real advice for real girls in a real world from a real mom. And that's what we're all about here, real moms. So I'm so glad that you came and talked to us. If anybody has any questions for Gabby, you can put them in the comments, or can you tell everybody where they can contact you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, the best way is I run a group called the Mogul Mom, and that really helps people, entrepreneurs and moms who want to get either launch their own thing or are currently doing their own thing and nobody really understands them because they're in a different crowd these days.
Mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
a really great resource. So it's just simply Gabriella at themogulmom.com, or find me on the Facebook page or the website, and I'm happy to chat with you. I hope the book is useful and helpful, and, it's a great gift for other people too.
Cool. Well, we'll have to do another talk someday about the Mogul Mom because I have many questions about that.
Would love
But yep. So everybody, check out I'm Just Saying. It's really fun. It's a great book. And thanks for talking with me today, Gabby.
Thank you so much. Thank you.